What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. This is a video, first off, I'm extremely excited for. It's Mock Draft Monday. It's week 3, Mock Draft 3.0. Quick intro. I do a mock draft every single Monday. It is 7 rounds. I do not do any trades. I am using PFF right now. I tried to use another one, and it had Jordan Addison going first overall. And I was like, you know what? Nope, we're not doing this. This is just absolutely atrocious. I don't think PFF is good. So I tried to do my best. There were players available that I was like, you know what? I would love to take them. I don't think that they're going to be available. So I did pass on them. I will mention them if that does happen. But I'm really working on the scouting. I watched all of these guys, or I have watched all of these guys. And I'm a big fan of all of these players that I selected. But if there's players that you think, hey, you should look at this guy in the 3rd round, look at this guy for this position, I will do that because I'm going to be actually publishing draft profiles on top 5 of it every single position over with Play Action Football, and so I'm scouting for them as well. So I'm doing a lot of stuff. So that helps me with the mock drafts, helps me with all of that as well. I want to know as much about all these players coming into the draft as possible. Before we get into that draft, I want to give a huge shout out to none other than the Cincinnati Bengals for running the NFL and getting 0 rings to show for it. Just want to throw a shout out there. Thank you, Kansas City Chiefs, for beating them. That was great. If you're going to talk that much trash, you're going to get clowned on. But shout out to also Mock Draft Monday legend, Joseph Osai. I was drafting Joseph Osai. I had so many mock drafts. I was always a big fan of it. I'm an even bigger fan now. Thank you, Joseph Osai. Really appreciate that penalty that you got on Patrick Mahomes. Let's get that out of the way. Let's jump right into it. First round, pick 22. I was up. There were 3 players that I was looking at initially, and I had already looked at 2 of them. All right. I had already looked at Jordan Addison. I've already scouted Joey Porter Jr. I'm a big fan of both of those guys. I've said it before. Joey Porter Jr. is the best player that I have scouted so far. I would normally take him. Jackson Smith and Jigba was also there. I fully watched Jackson Smith. I really like Jackson Smith. And I was watching them and I was like, okay, if all of these players were available, I'm going with Joey Porter Jr. However, I don't think he's available. And then I saw another name that was available, Cam Smith, cornerback out of South Carolina. And I was like, let me watch Cam Smith. I haven't seen anything from him. Let me watch him. And I was watching him and I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this guy might be exactly what the Baltimore Ravens need. Like this guy, I was considering taking him just outright over Joey Porter Jr. Like that's how impressed I was with him. And I think that Joey Porter Jr. is an absolute stud. And so I had watched all those players and I was like, all right, I would take Joey Porter Jr. However, I don't think Joey Porter Jr. has any chance at making it to 22. I think Joey Porter Jr. is almost a lock to go top 15. And so I passed on him and I went with Cam Smith. I'm going to say this right now. I would take Joey Porter Jr. before Cam Smith at this point, but I love Cam Smith. I'm super excited about him. He is a ball hawk and aggressive cornerback. And you guys know this. I've said it before. I think the Baltimore Ravens should move on from Marcus Peters. Move on from Peters and get yourself a younger, aggressive cornerback that you can mold into the system that you want to play. He made a lot of plays in zone coverage, that I really liked. And what we saw with the Ravens in their game against the Bengals is they were running zone. And they were trying to not allow those one-on-one deep down the field because they wanted the teams that they went against to slowly, methodically move the ball up. When they're doing that, you want guys that can force turnovers on, we're just used to those 8-yard out routes. Then all of a sudden you get that cornerback to jump it. Cam Smith's the type of cornerback that can jump it. He's a physical tackler. He's not a great tackler, but he's very physical, and he's going to throw his body all in. He plays 150 miles an hour, and he plays like a Raven. I would love Cam Smith to be in Baltimore next season. Next up, round 3, pick 86. And I was like, man, I need a wide receiver. I think everybody's like, wow, you went corner in the first round? Yes, I did. But we need a wide receiver. And I was looking at the wide receivers, and I was like, okay, I can't watch every single one of these players right now. And I've watched some of them. But in the 3rd round, if he is available, I truly believe that Xavier Hutchinson is the way to go. Xavier Hutchinson, I drafted him. Xavier Hutchinson, again, I was watching him and I was like, man, this is the exact guy that we need. And he is a big body. He's 6'3". He's physical. He's great over the middle of the field. He's great on the back shoulder throws and jump balls on the sideline. He is a player that you can just throw it up to. He's not a burner. He's not going to take a drag route 80 yards to the house, but he's going to be a physical wide receiver that is big bodied and can make those difficult catches. What have we been asking for the last 3 years? A big bodied wide receiver that can make physical catches. Xavier Hutchinson, everybody. And PFF does not have him graded very highly. I don't get that at all. Again, I don't think PFF's a very good tool. So they didn't give me a good grade on that. If you're doing mock drafts, don't go off of PFF grades on what your picks. Like PFF is not good. Like when it comes to draft, the mock draft thing. Xavier Hutchinson, that is a 3rd round wide receiver right there. I wouldn't be surprised if he went in the second if he had a good 40, but I don't think he's going to have a great 40. I don't think he's overly fast. I think he's just a big body physical player. Think kind of like what Anquan Bolden was for the Ravens. Younger version of that could be Xavier Hutchinson. Big fan of his game. And the Ravens drafted Iowa State last year. Maybe they kind of saw him initially and were like, oh, wow, that guy's also pretty good. Similar thing to what we did when we watched Rashad Bateman. The very next year, we drafted the tackle from that exact same offense in Mr. Big Boy, 6'9", 380 pounds. But Xavier Hutchinson, I would love him to be a Baltimore Raven. Again, another pick that I'm really happy with. Round 4, pick 125. I feel like the Ravens should go halfback here. I feel like they should go halfback unless somebody slides that's maybe an edge rusher or a guard. But I think that's pretty much it. I think those are really the only positions that we need are corner, wide receiver, halfback, guard, and edge. Now, halfback, I would be okay if we've got an undrafted free agent or whatever. That's totally fine. But Kenny McIntosh, who I selected out of Georgia, is somebody that I love. He is a pass-catching running back that doesn't have a lot of miles on him. He's explosive. He was in a high-powered offense. The Ravens just interviewed the offensive coordinator from the Georgia Bulldogs, and he is someone that, was the backup running back, and he could come into the NFL having been the backup, be a backup, take on that role, but get in on pass-catching downs. When you're watching him, you're impressed with his catching. He looks very comfortable catching the football. He looks very comfortable running routes. And the Ravens right now, their running backs are not true pass catchers. Can they catch the ball? Yes, but they're not players that are threats to catch the ball deep downfield. I'm tired of having to watch players that can't catch the ball running routes. Patrick Ricard. McIntosh, you can put in on 3rd down, and you are okay with him running any route in the book. Now, at the same time, you don't want him in pass protection. He is a 3rd down running back only. But if the Ravens decide not to extend Gus Edwards, or they decide to cut him or trade him because they want to save money for cap space to sign somebody else, Kenny McIntosh could be a guy behind J.K. Dobbins. Not as a number one. I don't see him as a number one, especially right away in the NFL. But I see him as like a really solid backup piece that could be a complementary, backfield. Let JK be the lead dog. And when he's tired, put in Kenny McIntosh and throw it to him a little bit, and he can be explosive. Like, you hit him in the flats, and it's like, oh, he gets 10, 12 yards, like, consistently for Georgia. That's what he did. He was Stetson Bennett's, like, just check down. Oh, look at that. Kenny's open. Boom. 12, 15 yards. Just crazy burst, crazy speed, good balance, good vision. Next up, round 5, pick 159. I went with an offensive guard, Chandler Zavala, out of North Carolina State, NC State. Now, he is somebody that is older. I believe he played 6 years or had 6 years of eligibility, but it was noticeable when he was out with an injury. They dropped from like 170 rush yards per game to like 90 rush yards per game with him out of the lineup when he suffered an injury. He started for many years in college football, when then he transferred over to NC State. And I feel like he's a player where it's like, hey, let's get a guy that has good experience and has been an impact player, especially in the run game, to compete for the offensive guard spot, because we don't know who's going to be the starter there. Final pick, round 6, pick 200. You guys are going to see me drafting this guy a lot. I feel like his stock is going to rise a lot after the NFL Combine. He's going to be playing in the Senior Bowl. This is the guy that I'm looking out for in the Senior Bowl. I want to see BJ Thompson out of Stephen F. Austin. This is a freak athlete. This guy could run a 4.5, 4.4, 40-yard dash as an edge rusher. He could, I mean, I doubt he runs a 4.3, but I think he'll probably run a 4.4. Huge. I want to say he's about 6'6", crazy physical, crazy strong, productive in getting sacks at Stephen F. Austin. This isn't a guy that never got any sacks and just has the body. No, this guy was a productive pass rusher that is a freak athlete. This is what I see out of Tariq. This is what I saw out of Tariq Woolen coming out of UTSA. Again, I don't think he's going to come in and have a Tariq Woolen level rookie season, but a player that may get overlooked and fall farther in the draft than he should because he's coming out of a small school and wasn't going up against great competition. This guy has the intangibles to be a stud pass rusher in the NFL. And drafting him in the 6th round, the Ravens would be able to take time and develop him. And in 3-4 years, he could be one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, like with his ceiling, with his just pure athleticism, and already has like base level pass rush moves and is able to get to the quarterback. BJ Thompson's a guy that I love. I'm going to be drafting him a lot in mock drafts. Let me know in the comment section down below your guys' mock drafts so I can see them. And let me know players that you really like. I'm going to run through mine again. Cam Smith, South Carolina. Xavier Hutchinson, Iowa State. Kenny McIntosh, Georgia. Chandler Zavala, NC State. And finally, BJ Thompson out of Stephen F. Austin. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for Daily Ravens content, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.